Today, Admin introduces a very cool new revenge set to you guys. The story is about Daichi Inomoto, who is just an ordinary college student. He has caring friends, a beautiful girlfriend, and loving parents. Until one day, he's suddenly framed for murder. Almost all the evidence points to him as the culprit. Knowing his innocence, Daichi believes his loved ones will save him, but it turns out to be a delusion. His girlfriend, parents, and future, all taken from him overnight. And thus begins a legendary, bloody tale of revenge. But there's a truth Daichi will never know in his lifetime. He's not the main character, he's merely a pawn from beginning to end. And the mastermind behind it all is Kurisu Fuyuto. Let's get into the main story. On a quiet city road at night, a speeding car heads towards the bustling city buildings. Someone announces, "Mr. Kurisu, we're almost there." Kurisu observes from the car window, letting out a sigh. The red car stops at its destination. Employees stand in a line at the entrance to greet Kurisu. Two people approach his car, open the door, and Kurisu steps out. The employees bow respectfully, saying, "We've been waiting for you, Mr. Kurisu Fuyuto." Kurisu's life has been full of thorns. He's lived a life of misfortune. He walks through a casino where the wealthy try their luck. Kurisu observes them. He's faced countless dangers and near-death experiences. Finally, "I've amassed a vast fortune and numerous accolades." Two employees open a large door. Kurisu walks in, saying, "This far is enough." The employees bow, replying, "Yes, sir, we hope you enjoy your time here." The music in the nightclub pulses, and the people on the dance floor sway to the rhythm. Kurisu moves through them. Some people call out his name. "Ah, a girl in a dress." He smiles, "Manager." Another girl with pink hair calls him Mr. Kurisu. A lively girl waves, inviting him, "Hey Fuyuto, come play." Another beauty raises a glass, calling him darling. Kurisu smiles amiably at them. "People call me different names depending on my position in their eyes. Sometimes I'm the heir to a massive conglomerate, other times the owner of a restaurant chain. Or a major investor back from America, a charismatic influencer. There are many other times, too. I have hundreds of different faces. Who am I, really? Sometimes, I don't even know myself anymore." He leaves the women and approaches a secluded corner where two burly men stand guard. They have menacing expressions. Kurisu shows no emotion, but one thing is certain. The two men bow deeply, shouting, "Greetings, big brother." Kurisu doesn't react as he walks inside. "My goal is singular." Another equally burly man, smoking a cigarette, looks up at him. "You're a bit late," he says, his eyes sharp. Kurisu glared back and said, "Just on time." The two looked at each other, a silence created between them. The others in the room sensed the tension between them. The other person smirked, stood up, and politely said to Kurisu, "Big brother, please sit down." Stood up and politely said to Kurisu, "Sir, please sit down." Kurisu approached and replied, "Don't call me big brother." He sat down, a heavy pressure enveloping the room. Kurisu said to someone, handing him the briefcase he'd been carrying, "Open this." The other person politely took it, saying, "Yes." When he opened it, he was surprised. Money. A lot of money. A pile of money stuffed inside. Kurisu said, "There's 100 million here for now." The others listened silently as he said, "I'll have the rest delivered later." Kurisu reached for a glass of wine on the table. His gaze fell on the liquid inside. "It all started when they wronged me," he said. Kurisu squeezed the glass, cracks appearing. "They were the damned scoundrels who dragged my life into hell." He crushed the glass. "I will rise from the dead." The others were shocked by his actions. Blood dripped from his hand. Kurisu's inhuman smile promised revenge on the scum masquerading as the upper class, who were running rampant in this country, making them experience a life worse than death. "Let's begin." The money on the table was stained with his blood. "Our war." Daichi ran swiftly down the street. His hands clutching a wine bottle still in its box, sweat pouring down his face. Daichi muttered, "I have to hurry." This is Tokyo, Nishiazabu. In a small bar where guests enjoyed fine wines and other drinks. In a VIP room, a voice roared, "Hey, who do you think you're talking to?" The fat man, flanked by two women, glared at the waitress. "Do you know how much money I've poured into this dump, and you dare give me cheap wine?" "This is Degura Mitsuru, the CEO of an IT company," he demanded, "give me all your extra money right now." Sayaka bowed politely and apologized. I'm truly sorry, Mr. Dagura, but we're out of the champagne you requested. He was so angry his eyes bulged and his veins stood out. Dagura pointed to the floor and ordered, useless girl, take off your clothes and kneel down. The two girls beside him urged, take it off, take it off. Sayaka's face turned ashen as she was forced to undress. A sound came from outside the door. Daichi rushed in. He opened the door and announced loudly, Mr. Dagura, I apologize for the delay, here's the Armando gold you requested. The room fell silent for a moment as all four people looked at him. He frowned and said as Daichi approached with the bottle, you didn't shake the bottle while you were running, did you? He bowed, smiled politely, and replied, of course, sir, if you have any other requests, please let us know. Dagura and the two girls were surprised as Daichi continued, but he warned him, please don't harass your employees anymore. Sayaka was astonished to see him standing up for her. A bottle of wine was thrown. Daichi excitedly chose the wine in it. He remained in the same position as the room became eerily quiet after the Dagura vented his anger on him. He waved his hand and asked, looking at the crowd, their eyes widened and they called Go here. Go entered from outside, Daichi and Sayaka emerged from inside. He bowed politely to the man, saying, excuse me. Go rushed in, carrying a white towel, with a friendly smile and a sycophantic tone, he said, Director Dagura, I apologize, that kid wasn't very observant, did you get wet? After the door closed, Sayaka solicitously asked Daichi, Daichi, are you all right? While wiping him down, she added, thank you. Daichi chuckled, I'm fine, you must have had a hard time, Sayaka. Sayaka blushed, embarrassed, her gaze softened, she smiled and replied, this time, I really have to thank you. 202X, Tokyo. A massive casino, funded by foreign investment, was built on reclaimed land in Tokyo Bay. Areas like Nishiazabu, Roppongi, Shinjuku, Shibuya, boasted bustling nightlife, vibrant businesses, and a constant flow of money day and night. Criminal gang Yakuza mafia capitalist politician GI. This era saw many powerful and wealthy individuals running rampant throughout Tokyo. Inomoto Daichi, was enjoying the ordinary life of an ordinary student. The school bell rang, students started leaving, a few lingered, Daichi stretched and sighed, I have so many reports to write today. The blond young man, Kadoti Go, a university student, grinned mischievously and suggested, just get someone else to write it. A voice stopped him, Go, are you serious? Both Daichi and Go looked in that direction. The figure of a girl gradually appeared. She was Sito Meru, a university student, who disapproved of the suggestion, no way, that's too risky. She scolded them to take their assignment seriously. Both Daichi and Go smiled, and Go replied, I know. They walked together to the school gate. Go said goodbye, see you tonight at work, Daichi. He smiled at her, bye-bye, Meru, and left first. Daichi scratched his neck and said to Meru, shall we go then, They held hands and walked together, unaware that Go was watching them from behind. His eyes were filled with hatred. As the afternoon progressed, Meru and Daichi walked hand in hand. He was shy and didn't look at her. It took a while for Daichi to speak, we're on a date, right? Meru didn't answer. She smiled and asked him why he suddenly asked. Well, he explained shyly, it's because we've never spent the night together before, and your family is strict too. Her cheeks were rosy as she replied to him, oh my gosh, you should stop that habit of scratching behind the ears. Then, she suddenly pulled him close, catching Daichi off guard. Meru whispers into Daichi's ear, what a pervert. She immediately let go and walked away while Daichi blushed and was so startled that he couldn't say a complete sentence. Meru walked a few steps and then turned around to leave me a promise to go on a trip together this summer. Daichi, I don't understand. Meru hinted, Daichi's birthday is coming soon. She winked, then it'll be time. Daichi opened her mouth and blushed so embarrassed that she couldn't speak. Meru continued walking, leaving him there, not forgetting to remind him, goodbye, be careful with your report. Daichi was left like a fool. It was almost evening. At the hospital, he sat beside his mother, recounting the day's events, so that Kid Go got scolded by the professor. He and Meru laughed about it the whole time. The person in the bed closed their eyes. Daichi continued rambling, then it was lunchtime. It wasn't until he looked at the clock that he realized how much time had passed. I wanted to, so why did Daichi stand up to greet his mother and leave? I'll come visit you tomorrow. But as soon as he lifted the curtain, a soft cry came from the bed. Daichi stopped, quickly went to his mother's bed, and gently said, "Mom." His mother opened her eyes, weakly saying, "Daichi, is that you?" He reached out and took his mother's hand as she offered it, smiling and replying, "Yes, I finished school and got a part-time job." They held hands, and his mother said comfortingly, "Oh, it's hard on you." Daichi dismissed this, saying, "No, Mom, I have a scholarship, don't worry." He smiled happily and suggested, "That's right, this time, let's spend a day at the beach." "Mom, you're healthier every summer, aren't you?" his mother repeated, "The beach." Then, closing her eyes, she said longingly, "I'd love to go." Daichi softly replied, "Yes, Mom." That night, as usual, he went to work at the bar, bowing to each departing guest and saying, "Thank you." Daichi maintained a respectful and polite attitude towards them, hoping to welcome them again. He went into another room to report, "Boss, the guests have left." He approached as he saw his boss holding his phone with a worried expression. "I still can't reach Sayaka," he said. His boss hung up, replying, "I texted her on live, but no response." Daichi found this puzzling. She's not the type to skip work, something must have happened. He looked around, even more puzzled, and "Go's gone too," his boss answered. "I'm entertaining Director Degura in the VIP room. He's rich, but he drinks too much." He continued muttering, "I hope Go doesn't provoke him." Daichi smiled reassuringly, "That kid's pretty likable, I'm sure he'll be fine." The curtain of the room was lifted, and Go poked his head in, calling out, "Daichi." He beckoned Daichi over, "Come here, I need you for a sec." Both Daichi and his boss were puzzled. But Daichi followed him to the room where Degura was sitting. After politely bowing, Daichi said, "I'm Inomoto, please, call me that." Degura sneered, pointing to the man sitting with him, "Inomoto, let me introduce you to someone extremely impressive." He stood up, walked towards him, and handed him a business card, saying, "It's a pleasure to meet you." Daichi politely accepted the card, thanking him. It showed the information of Henderson Moriyama law firm. He was puzzled, thinking, a lawyer. Degura explained, "Shiro Jagasaki is an extremely skilled lawyer, someone like you shouldn't even be talking to him." Shiro returned to his seat, humbly replying, "You're exaggerating." He smiled at Daichi and gave him some cryptic advice, "If you ever need help, feel free to contact me." After that, Degura dismissed Daichi. "That's all, get out." Daichi didn't ask any questions, bowing his head and saying, "Thank you." Even after he left, Daichi heard Degura say, "He seems alright, actually." He glanced back at the room, still puzzled. A while later, Daichi and Go left together. Daichi smiled contentedly, "All done." They walked together. Daichi puzzledly asked Go, "Hey, Go, is it okay that you didn't finish serving Director Degura?" Go replied, "The boss said he's closing up shop and going drinking with them, probably another bar." Daichi was about to ask something else, but his phone rang, grabbing his attention. Daichi opened it. It was Sayaka. 3 messages from Sayaka. "I need to talk to you, Daichi, can you come to Grand West now, please?" Both of them were surprised. "What's this?" Go teased, "She's going to confess, isn't she?" Daichi blushed, quickly denying, "What nonsense are you talking about?" Go put his arm around Daichi, still smiling, "This looks interesting, let's go." He pulled Daichi along, ignoring his protests. Hey. They quickly arrived at a huge hotel. The interior was extremely luxurious. Daichi was dazzled, exclaiming, "Wow, this is amazing, it's the first time I've been to such a luxurious place." He texted Sayaka back, "I'm at the hotel, goes with me." She replied immediately, "Come to room 1815 in 10 minutes, alone, please." Daichi became increasingly puzzled. What does Sayaka want? Go also read the message and said, "I have no idea." He continued to laugh, "But I thought it looked serious, it would be her fault if she didn't come." Daichi listened to Go and agreed. "Okay," he said, about to leave, "I'll text you later," but Go stopped him. He put a hand on Daichi's shoulder, surprising him. "Wait," he said. Go handed him a pink can. "Drink this energy drink," he suggested. Daichi asked, confused, "An energy drink? You've been sleep-deprived lately, you look like you're about to die." Daichi took it, saying thank you, but Go stopped him as he was about to put it in his bag. "Hey, I want half," he said. He suggested, "Just drink it here." Daichi hesitated slightly, a little confused. But he still opened it and drank, unaware that the person beside him had already smirked, and was looking at him with a dangerous glint in his eyes. Daichi wiped his mouth and handed Go the remaining half. "Here's the other half." Go smiled brightly and took it. Then he continued to tease, "Good luck, I'll keep it a secret from Meru." Daichi blushed and scolded, "I told you it wasn't true." Daichi entered the elevator and pressed 18. He sighed and muttered, "That Go is always spouting nonsense." He continued to ponder, "Why does Go seem so strange, and Sayaka, why are we at a high-class hotel? Is she a rich heiress? Could she really be planning to confess her feelings to me?" Daichi thought of Meru, "I already have an important girlfriend in my life." Daichi's expression changed. The elevator quickly arrived at the 18th floor, he stepped out, weary. His head was spinning. Daichi thought, "Am I just too tired?" His head continued to spin, he vaguely started walking. "Where's room 1815? Daichi collapsed in the hallway. A door opened slightly. The person on the other side watched him with malicious intent. When Daichi vaguely woke up, he was in a strange place, naked. He hugged his head and gasped, "My head hurts so much." He looked around and thought, "This is a women's hotel room, the girl next to me is dead, her death expression is terrifying." Daichi was stunned. "Sayaka." Her eyes were rolled back. Daichi was horrified. He screamed and recoiled, "She's dead, she's dead." He recoiled so much that he fell off the bed. He looked around the messy room. Sayaka was dead on the bed, naked, and his clothes were scattered everywhere. "What the?" Daichi panicked. "What happened?" A torrent of questions flooded his mind. "What did I do?" Daichi woke up, confused, looking around. "What did I do?" His face was panicked as he looked at the woman next to him. The gruesome sight made him shudder. "Sayaka, why is she dead?" He looked around, even more confused. "I'm naked, what happened to my clothes?" His body ached. Daichi winced. "It hurts." There were fresh, deep scratches on his hands. "What are these scratches?" A frantic knocking came from outside, making Daichi jump. A voice called out, "Police." Daichi quickly sat up, thinking he had found help. Good. He quickly opened the door, his voice urgent, "Are you the police?" They quickly subdued him, pushing him inside as if he were the culprit. His face slammed into the ground. A police officer pressed on top of him and reported arrest has been made. Daichi cried out in pain, "Yes." He exclaimed in surprise when he was controlled and the others quickly searched the room. "Wait, what do you mean suddenly arrest me?" Another policeman commented as he approached Sayaka, "Are you late?" Daichi yelled, "You've got the wrong guy, I didn't do it." The police officer pinning him down shouted, "It's not your turn to speak." The sky was gloomy, a heavy downpour lashing down. The rain was like a curtain outside the luxurious hotel. Daichi was escorted out by the police officers. "Then I was arrested." Heading towards the police car with its flashing red lights. From across the street, Go was watching. He smiled a wicked, self-satisfied smile. The rain stopped and the sky brightened by the time they arrived at the Azabu Central Police Station. A night passed, and Daichi was brought to meet his lawyer. He exclaimed joyfully, "Mr. Jagasaki." Shiro replied, "Well, I didn't expect you'd need me after only one day." Daichi sat down in the chair opposite him, saying, "Thank you so much for coming." Shiro chuckled modestly at Daichi's gratitude. "Don't mention it, you must be terrified, I'll do everything I can to help you." Daichi was moved to tears. "You." He bowed politely, pleading, "I'm counting on you." Daichi, moved to tears, watched as he tapped his fingers on the table and began to read the indictment. Daichi Inomoto, 20 years old. Received an invitation on, date, from Tanaka Sayaka, 20 years old, a colleague from his night job. She called him to the Grand West Hotel. He flipped the page, continuing, "After drinking alcohol and using stimulants, the two had sex, an argument ensued, and you strangled Sayaka, causing her death." Daichi, indignant, slammed his fist on the table and stood up, vehemently denying it. "That's not true." Shiro raised his hand, "Calm down, this is what the police are currently theorizing, but I absolutely believe you didn't do it." Daichi continued, "You can ask Go, he knows about this too." Shiro stared at him, his expression devoid of any emotion, even sympathy. "I've already asked him, not only Kadoti, but also your boss from your part-time job and your girlfriend. Daichi's face softened when Meru was mentioned. He lowered his eyes, thinking of Meru. She must be worried sick about him. Daichi thought of his mother. If she knew he was involved in a murder case, how terrified she would be. Shiro continued his questioning. You drank alcohol last night, didn't you? Daichi asked in confusion. Shiro replied, we detected alcohol in your breath. Daichi, flustered, said, I don't remember. The lawyer continued, I hear you have a low alcohol tolerance, and... His next statement surprised Daichi even more. Traces of stimulants were found in your urine. What did he just say? Daichi slammed his hand on the table. He practically yelled, would never use those kinds of drugs. Shiro pushed up his glasses, unsurprised by his reaction. And there's more, your DNA was found under the victim's fingernails. Daichi looked in horror at the scratches on his hands as Shiro continued, you struggled with the victim. He reconstructed the scenario. In a fit of rage, you strangled her. That's the police's current assessment of the case. Daichi slumped back in his chair, muttering incoherently, unable to complete a sentence. That's impossible. Shiro, his face impassive, leaned back, saying, you have the right to deny it, but let me be blunt. Daichi's face grew grimmer as he faced the reality. If you want to prove your innocence, the trial will likely be very long. He gritted his teeth in bitterness. Daichi mumbled, my mother is sick. Shiro replied, I'm aware of that. He muttered, I have to earn money for my mother's medical bills. What will happen to her without me? He thought of his mother. What am I going to do? Tears streamed down Daichi's face as he cried out, what am I supposed to do? What does God want me to do? Shiro seemed to have been waiting for that question. He looked at him with the eyes of someone looking at an insect. He said, there is only one way to help you be released soon. Daichi seemed to find a thin thread in the darkness and replied almost urgently, I will do everything you ask. Please help me. Shiro said bluntly, just admit you did it. Daichi froze for a moment. He continued, I'm sorry, but sufficient circumstantial evidence has been gathered. Even if we argue for your innocence, the chances of winning are very low. His next words gradually faded away. Daichi was engulfed in chaos. It would be better if you just plead guilty and show your remorseful attitude, instead of persisting. It will make a bad impression on the judge. I will help you correct the crime. Not helping a person whose life is in danger can be sentenced. Leo Daichi asked himself, no way, but if the trial is prolonged. He remembered his mother, the promise of a summer trip to the beach with her. Mom wants to go. At the court, the jury and judge listened intently in silence as Daichi confessed, it's true that Sayaka called me to the hotel. Because I was drunk and not sober, my memories are quite hazy. Meru and Go also listened from the seats below. Daichi concluded his testimony with a confession, but I think I caused Sayaka's death. His face was like that of a dead man as he continued, I deeply regret my actions. After a while of thinking, I decided to give a confession to get the sentence. He was tormented by his inner thoughts, I didn't do it, absolutely not. Daichi struggled fiercely, but only by confessing could he quickly return to his mother. After a while, the judge delivered the verdict. The sentence felt like a punch to Daichi's face. The defendant is sentenced to 15 years imprisonment. He was stunned, incredulous. He thought, what? The sounds that followed faded, although the defendant had a responsibility to save the victim at that time, but... Turning to Shiro, he incredulously said, didn't you say I'd get a suspended sentence? He coldly raised his glasses and replied, it seems the judge is stricter than I imagined. Daichi angrily shouted, things turned out differently from what you said. Court officials asked him to stop. The defendant is asked to remain silent. Daichi's face turned pale, his eyes widened in disbelief. Imprisonment, not a suspended sentence. I'm going to prison. He couldn't accept it. His expression became frantic as his thoughts raced. It's not right, a lie. He shouted in court as other police officers restrained him. I didn't kill anyone. I immediately requested an appeal from my lawyer, but the appeal trial was not held. My 15-year prison sentence was finalized. The sky was gloomy at the prison in some province. The silent corridor echoed with someone's murmuring in a room. Two inmates gossiped about Daichi. That kid keeps mumbling to himself, whatever, let him be, he's a crazy, murderous pervert. Daichi was dazed, like a madman, constantly asking himself, why did this happen to me? He mumbled, I'm not the murderer. The other two scoffed, who gets arrested and doesn't say that? Another day, while Daichi was working in the factory. He maintained that dazed look, constantly wondering why he was there. He mumbled, "Mr. Jagasaki hasn't visited me once. I hope the court will retry the case. Mom, Maru, they must be worried about me." A voice spoke up, from the man next to him. "Hey, kid." He asked directly, "You were framed, weren't you?" His eyes glanced at him, observing closely while continuing, "You seem to be preoccupied with something. I've looked into you a bit." Daichi was surprised by the man's words. "That night, I suddenly felt sleepy. When I woke up, I was naked next to a dead girl." He asked, "Right?" Daichi replied incredulously, "How do you know?" He continued to prompt, "Daichi, could you tell me the whole story in detail, depending on the circumstances?" He smiled enigmatically as he declared, "I might be able to help you get out of here, kid." Daichi was astonished. He observed the man, thinking, "Who is this guy? How does he know about my case?" The man seemed to understand his thoughts. He smiled amiably and extended a hand, introducing himself. "I'm Kamishiro, I'm also unjustly imprisoned. Nice to meet you." Daichi didn't react. He thought, "This is suspicious." He quickly bowed his head back to his work, refusing Kamashiro's handshake. "It's not good if the guards catch us talking privately." Kamishiro continued, "We have plenty of time in here. If you're interested, feel free to find me and chat." Kamishiro warned him, "That lawyer, Jagasaki, you should be wary of him." Daichi's face showed surprise at his words. He remained silent and did not respond. Kamishiro continued to observe him. It was getting late, so late that Daichi couldn't sleep. He recalled Kamashiro's earlier words, "That lawyer, Jagasaki, you should be wary of him." He frowned, pondering the meaning behind those words. What exactly did Kamishiro know? Daichi looked outside. The moon was unusually bright. He thought of his loved ones, his mother and Meru. He wondered how they were doing, surely worrying about him. Elsewhere, a fight was taking place. Blood splattered the walls. The large man grabbed a prisoner who was already badly beaten, slamming him to the ground. The prisoner whimpered, begging, "Please, spare me." The large man sneered, replying, "Where's that tough talk now, newbie?" He continued to beat the prisoner, despite having already beaten several others. The other prisoners pretended to know nothing. They turned their backs to the wall, despite the chilling sounds, too afraid to speak. When the prisoner was released, his face was horrifically disfigured. The large man muttered a curse, seemingly unsatisfied. Another prisoner approached and informed him, "We have information about a new inmate." He began to report. Luigi's veins bulged as he listened. A chilling sound echoed. Luigi smashed the furniture in front of him, coldly ordering, "Bring him to the courtyard tomorrow." His face showed barely concealed rage as he declared, "I'll personally greet him." The night passed quietly, and soon the morning sun filled the prison yard. The prisoners went about their day as usual. Daichi was doing pull-ups, his body trembling with exertion. Finally, he could no longer hold on and let go. Daichi looked around, thinking, "That's all I can do, 3 times, that's my limit." A prisoner approached. Daichi's expression soured as the man spoke, "Hey, you." The prisoner beckoned, requesting, "Move some stuff for me." Daichi, despite his reluctance, followed. "Yes," he replied. Daichi followed the prisoner. From a distance, Kamishiro observed them. His gaze was wary. Daichi was led to a secluded spot where Luigi and his men were waiting. Banba Luigi smirked upon seeing Daichi. Daichi jumped, instinctively taking a few steps back. Luigi's men blocked his escape route. Daichi stammered, bewildered, What do you want?" Luigi's imposing figure loomed over Daichi as he approached. Before Daichi could react, the man grabbed his neck. Luigi lifted him, sneering, "A woman's necklace, how amusing." Daichi struggled. He gasped for breath, trying to defend himself, "I don't have it, I'm innocent." His words only angered Luigi. Murderous intent flashed in his eyes as he replied, "They all say that." Luigi delivered a powerful knee strike to Daichi's stomach. He cried out in pain, "Oof." Daichi crumpled to the ground. Luigi drew back his leg. Then he delivered a direct kick to Daichi's face. He continued, "I'm not exactly a saint either." Daichi groaned in pain. "Ah," Luigi said, "but seeing someone like you, using others for your own gain." Enraged, he swung his fist, cursing, "A murderer like you gets on my nerves." Daichi's eyes widened in terror. He punched him directly in the face. Daichi was beaten until his face was contorted, he was relentlessly punched and kicked. The other prisoners only dared to watch from a distance, whispering, "Luigi's terrifying when he's angry, that kid, I wonder if he'll survive." After a while, Daichi, covered in blood, lay sprawled on the ground. Luigi looked down on him and said, "Your parents are also pitiful for having a child like you." Daichi's vision is getting blurry, Na's thoughts are getting blurry, what are his parents saying? Another inmate leaned in, whispering, "Outside, the reporters are making a big deal about it. Apparently, the murderer's mother was so shocked to hear her son killed someone that she died." His words jolted Daichi awake. He froze, thinking to himself, "My mother's memories signed." Memories from his childhood with her appeared like a short film. Daichi was shocked. He felt suffocated, repeating over and over, "What did I do? Sayaka just called me to the hotel that day." "Shiro," the lawyer's words echoed in his ears, "just plead guilty, show remorse, and you'll get a lighter sentence." Daichi choked back his helplessness. "I only pleaded guilty so I could be by my mother's side, I didn't do it." The verdict pierced his heart, 15 years imprisonment. Daichi laughed. The other inmates looked at him strangely, Luigi did too. Daichi slowly got up, his emotions were a chaotic mess, whatever was happening now didn't matter anymore. Daichi trembled as he stood, everything was meaningless. Only one emotion consumed him, the other inmates were uncomfortable and confused. "What's wrong with him?" Daichi grabbed Luigi's collar. He didn't react. Daichi trembled, sinking into a dark, gloomy, despairing emotion. "Hey!" they exclaimed in surprise, "him." Daichi braced himself, a smile played on his lips, but tears streamed down his face. "He's smiling." This was. Luigi's eyes widened in shock. Daichi punched him, rage consumed him. A direct blow landed squarely on the other man's face. Daichi was consumed by rage, he yelled, launching a fearless attack on Luigi, a direct punch to the face that the other man couldn't block. In the dreamy darkness, Daichi saw the silhouette of a woman. Even though his mother was a bit frail and old, she still smiled kindly and called him by name. He replied, "Mother." Her image faded, her gentle smile remaining. She gave him her final words, "Live well, my son." Daichi cried out, "Mom, wait for me." He screamed as she drifted further away, beyond his reach. "We were going to the beach together, I'll be back soon. Please wait for me." He reached for her, yelling in despair, "Mom, don't leave me alone." He cried out, jolting awake, "Mom." Daichi froze. His thoughts returned, his mother, truly. A doctor drew back the curtain, looking at Daichi kindly, "Awake, are you?" Daichi looked around, thinking, "This is the infirmary." He glanced beside him and saw Kamishiro reading a book. He thought, it was him back then, Kamishiro. He looked over and chuckled. "That punch you landed on Banbo was pretty good, kid." Daichi mumbled, "Oh, really?" His tone changed immediately as he asked, "How is he?" "Luigi." The memories flooded back to Daichi. Kamishiro replied, "Punches and kicks. He's in solitary confinement." He started the trouble. In the solitary confinement cell, Ruji sat silently, dressed in prison garb, his head bowed. The doctor in the infirmary said, "Lucky for you, it's also your routine checkup day, you're pretty badly hurt." Kamishiro added, "As it happens, I'm injured too, guess we're in the same boat now." He happily pointed the small book in his hand at him and continued to declare not only about this issue but also about being falsely accused. Daichi was surprised to hear what he said. He recalled their meeting at the factory, Kamishiro's words, "You fell for the trap, didn't you?" That night, he suddenly felt sleepy, woke up naked next to a dead girl, right? Daichi remembered when Kamishiro became a god, he was also imprisoned because of a wrongful accusation. He also remembered his triumphant smile, "Depending on how things go, I might be able to help you get out of here." Daichi stammered, You really believe I'm innocent?" Kamishiro smiled. He observed him and remarked that he didn't look like someone who could murder someone. Kamishiro repeated, "You, boy, were tricked by your own lawyer." Daichi furrowed his brow in thought. He propped himself up on the bed, slowly sat up, and muttered, "What was it all for?" Daichi's words were interrupted by a third person entering from outside. "I have something to say." It was Mr. Kamishiro. Kamishiro got off the bed, regarding Daichi's questions about the details of the case. He said, "Let's talk after you've recovered." He put his hand on his shoulder. He smiled mysteriously and reminded him, to achieve something, you need to make sacrifices, even those of equal value. Daichi silently looked at him. Then he spoke, his hands clenched into fists, gripping the blanket. What can I achieve, tell me. Daichi emanated a strange pressure as he continued, if I throw everything away, what can I exchange it for? Kamashiro's eyes widened. He stood up straight, leaving Daichi with these words before leaving, rest for now. Daichi silently watched Kamashiro leave. The clinic door closed quickly, the other man still looked inside, remarking, rare, I didn't expect Mr. Kamashiro to be interested in a different criminal. Kamashiro pulled up his sleeve, replying, look, the other guy is surprised. Kamashiro's hands trembled uncontrollably, he continued, even now, I still can't help but shiver. He recalled Daichi's gaze from earlier and smiled excitedly, commenting that it was promising. A few days later. On the prison yard, the inmates were exercising. A baseball was thrown against the wall. Kamashiro was throwing a ball by himself. Daichi approached him, and Kamashiro immediately stopped. He looked at him and smiled, you look different from before. Daichi's face darkened. Kamashiro continued throwing the ball while asking, Daichi, what do you want? Earlier you said I could help you get out of here, what did you mean by that? Kamashiro juggled the ball in his hand, replying, it's still the same. Daichi responded, how, are you going to introduce me to a good lawyer? He glanced at the baseball, or are you going to help me escape? Kamashiro watched it roll back to him and replied, I can't tell you until I know if you're serious. Daichi immediately asked, how can I show you I'm serious? Kamashiro paused, then stood up. He took off his glasses. Then he looked into Daichi's eyes, kid, what do you want to do after you get out? Daichi felt the pressure, he thought, this person's demeanor has changed. He declared, I will. Because of the case, I had to drop out of school, I couldn't contact my lawyer, my girlfriend, or my friends, everything is gone. If my mother really passed away, I would have nothing left. Daichi was deep in thought that everything that had come to this, it all stemmed from that case, and he announced that someone had killed my acquaintance and assigned me this crime. Daichi was furious, his hands clenching into fists, he had been set up, leading to my arrest and my mother's. Daichi replied to Kamashiro, if I'm freed, I will definitely find the real culprit. His eyes shone with determination and hatred as he affirmed, and I will personally take revenge. Kamashiro asked, are you willing to sacrifice everything for revenge? Daichi looked at his hands, everything, or anything, I have nothing left. Kamashiro tossed a ball into the air, both their eyes followed its trajectory, he continued, I, too, have lost everything. The ball fell as he said, but I still have a hidden portion of crypto assets. Kamashiro caught it and placed it in Daichi's hand, saying, if you're truly determined, I'll help you get out of here. Kamashiro smiled, what I have hidden in the outside world is a cryptocurrency asset worth 500 billion yen. He looked Daichi in the eye and softly declared, I'll give you all of it. Daichi was taken aback, speechless for a moment. Daichi couldn't believe it, the two of them stood facing each other. He exclaimed, what, this is unbelievable. Kamashiro smiled and patted him on the shoulder, it's alright if you don't believe it, that's a normal reaction. He left, repeating his earlier words, let me know if you change your mind. Daichi stopped him, wait. Kamashiro stopped, his back to Daichi, oh, right, this prison has a library. Daichi looked up attentively. Kamashiro instructed, the shelf closest to the window, second shelf from the top, outermost corner on the outside, there's a good book there, it has a dark-colored spine. He gestured to Daichi and left, saying, give it a read. Daichi stood still, watching Kamashiro's figure as he disappeared. Other inmates approached and asked, you're friendly with that Kamashiro guy who just left? Daichi denied it, saying they weren't close. The other inmate warned, he's a swindler, best not to get involved. Daichi asked, a swindler? The inmate, looking a little scared, recounted, I heard he was arrested for large-scale fraud and murder, apparently, he's connected to the Yakuza. Daichi was astonished by this information. He pondered, who is that man, really? A few days later, Daichi entered the library. The room was quiet. There wasn't a soul in sight, just a single guard. Daichi searched as Kamashiro had instructed, the shelf closest to the window, second shelf from the top, the outermost corner on the right. He quickly found it, he pulled it out, noticing the dark-colored cover. He looked around, comparing it to other books. It's covered, the others aren't. He took it to a reading table. Daichi cautiously observed the guard sitting in the distance. He opened the dark cover. And was astonished. The book was titled How to Become a Millionaire, with Kamashiro's picture on the cover. Daichi was flustered, thinking, is that him? His picture is on the book. From that day on, I spent my scarce free time reading the book. And a week passed. That night, in the prison cell, Daichi was asleep when he suddenly opened his eyes. He sat up. Kamashiro was sitting in front of him. His eyes stared straight at him, shining brightly in the dark night as he smiled. Daichi was suddenly curious how he got into this room. Kamashiro shushed him. You'll wake them up, he whispered. Daichi quickly looked around. Kamashiro smiled, producing a small red vial. I just helped the guard get a little sleepy, he explained, smirking. Daichi was shocked. Who are you? He asked. Kamashiro didn't answer. Instead, he asked, you read it, didn't you, that book? Daichi paused for a moment before reciting, Kamashiro Kosuka, the youngest person to take a company public, CEO of a startup with unprecedented methods, then, involved in a massive fraud and murder, he lost everything. Kamashiro gently swirled the vial in his hand, acknowledging Daichi's summary, more or less, yes. He stood up. You said you'd take revenge after getting out, but I want to confirm it again. He looked at him intently. For revenge, are you willing to sacrifice everything? Daichi stared at him, internally wondering what kind of man he was. He considered it. This man had snuck into his cell and was having a conversation with him. His hand clenched into a fist. This man clearly had the power to get him out. He replied, everything, I have nothing left. He muttered, damn it. Then, a sinister smile spread across his face. As long as I can get revenge on those who wronged me, I'll do anything. Daichi's eyes held a chilling determination. Kamashiro smiled, excellent. He raised a finger, I'll give you your first assignment. Daichi listened intently as Kamashiro continued, there's someone in this prison I want you to approach. In another cell, several prisoners huddled in a corner. One, who had just been sodomized, was moaning, it hurts so much. A large prisoner sat listlessly by the window, surrounded by others bearing similar marks. He sighed loudly, I'm dying. He mumbled, I wonder where my princess is, he whispered shyly. Daichi listened silently and attentively. The next morning, a group of beaten prisoners, their leader injured, were holding their attacker down. He roared, Oga, how dare you underestimate me? Oga scoffed, oh, really? He grabbed the incoming punch. Then, he threw him to the ground with a powerful move. He slammed him to the ground. I told you not to come hit on me on my turf, Oga said to the fallen man. This is Oga Kazuki, a prisoner. He waved dismissively at the others, you guys aren't my type. Oga stood up, muttering, good workout. He walked away, then saw Kamashiro and Daichi. You're still as strong as ever, aren't you, he said. Accompanied by applause. Oga was delighted to see him, Director Kamashiro. Oga scratched his head, smiling sheepishly, you saw that, awkward. His gaze turned to Daichi, and who's this kid? Kamashiro introduced him, this is Inomoto Daichi. Daichi bowed politely, nice to meet you. Daichi's gaze was sharp. Oga paused for a moment. He blushed slightly, I'm Oga, nice to meet you too, he said, extending his hand to Daichi. Oga grasped Daichi's hand, waving it excitedly, to meet a kid like you here, it's rare. Kamashiro continued, I'm here to ask you something. Oga immediately replied, oh, if it's the director, I'll answer anything you ask. Kamashiro became serious. Regarding that matter, Oga's expression immediately changed. Kamashiro asked him, can you tell me where to enter the sales line? Oga walked away and refused straight away, if it's about this, then find someone else and ask. He left a message for Daichi, Inomoto, let's talk later. Daichi then spoke, Mr. Kamashiro, that person is. Kamashiro explained, his name is Oga Kazuki, he used to be a police officer. Daichi was astonished, a police officer. He continued, why would someone like that go to jail? Kamashiro replied, he was a police officer, but incredibly corrupt. His work was impeccable, but he was involved in drinking, women, gambling, everything. He did it to get information. He even went so far as to associate with criminal gangs. He took Daichi to some prisoners who had just been beaten by Oga. He explained, these are Banba's men, they probably planned to take revenge since before they went to jail, but they couldn't beat him. Daichi, sweating, continued to probe, what about that thing you mentioned? Kamishiro didn't hide it, it's a mixture of drugs, including methamphetamine and morphine. Daichi was shocked. To be more precise, Kamishiro continued, it's a synthetic drug called Heaven's Ice. I heard from the murder case involving you, Heaven's Ice was found in the victim's body. Daichi was suspicious, you can't tell me who gave you this information, Kamishiro replied, not yet. Daichi's eyes were thoughtful. He thought of Sayaka, I'm lucky to have your help this time. Daichi gritted his teeth. So, my first mission is to approach this Oga, right? Kamishiro replied seriously, if we get information about Heaven's Ice, we can get closer to the truth behind the case. We must get Oga involved, no matter the cost. Daichi's face was serious. He left, promising, if you succeed, I'll tell you everything I know, not just about your case, but also why I'm in this situation. Daichi stood there, listening to his words. His eyes showed determination. A moment later, Oga was showering. A crowded public bath. Oga was enjoying himself. He was shaving and humming. Someone approached him with a towel and a basin. Oga turned, you're in Omoto. Daichi turned on the water, checking the temperature. He replied, Mr. Oga, I need a favor. Daichi's determined expression was almost oppressive, if you listen, I guarantee I'll repay you handsomely. Oga mumbled, surprised, wow, the youth these days. Oga sighed. His face was more excited than ever, that's bold. Oga continued, so, what's this favor? The bathhouse attendant, standing in the corner, pointed at them and loudly reminded them to keep their voices down. Daichi turned to Oga, let's talk later. He stood up, not using a towel to cover himself. Exposing himself to Oga. Oga felt like he saw heaven, he exclaimed, 10 out of 10. Oga's face was utterly speechless, this is, a bit too much. Daichi got into the bath, Oga followed slowly, his eyes fixed on him, this kid. Oga adjusted how he addressed Daichi, his face still in awe, wait, this guy's face is cute. I didn't expect him to hide such a thing. Daichi suddenly interrupted, snapping Oga out of his thoughts, Mr. Oga. He stammered, is something wrong? Daichi, without saying anything, asked for a sexual favor, can you close your eyes for a moment? Oga looked at him confused. But still closed his eyes and let his thoughts fly high and far away. What is he planning to do? Oga sweated thinking that Daichi was planning to do something to me. He wondered if it was a kiss. And let his imagination run wild with countless scenarios. He wants to kiss me, that's moving pretty fast. Does that mean he likes me? Love at first sight, but if we kiss here, we'll definitely get dragged to the disciplinary cell. Wait. Being alone together in a disciplinary cell could be quite romantic, actually. Oga blushed, his eyes still closed, but his lips slightly parted, ready for Daichi's kiss. He spoke, actually, my type isn't the princess type like you, but more like a cold, queenly type, but if you've gone this far, I don't mind trying it out. Daichi didn't kiss him, he waited a moment, then continued, Oga, you can open your eyes now. Oga slowly opened his eyes, confused, what? He looked around the bathroom, surprised to find only himself. Oga jumped up, this is. Daichi is still standing. Oga scoffed, a trick by director Kamishiro, huh. Leaning on the sink, he continued, he's bought off not only the other prisoners but even the guards, he really is a big shot. Daichi's face turned serious, I need the information you have, tell me about Heaven's Ice. Oga looked at Daichi but didn't answer. Seemingly probing, he continued as Oga got out of the bath, it's not just out of curiosity I'm asking, it's connected to my case, it's highly likely that girl died from this drug. As Oga approached Daichi, his persuasion intensified, please, tell me about those who are trafficking it, and who's buying it, please, tell me even just a little. Oga scoffed, what if I say I don't want to? Daichi's expression hardened, his determination growing. Oga's eyes widened as a knife appeared. Daichi pressed the knife to Oga's throat, surprising him, while shaving, he accidentally slipped, cutting his carotid artery, resulting in heavy bleeding and death. Accidents like this seem to happen sometimes in prison, don't they? Oga shook his head, oh, what evil princess taught you this? Daichi was taken aback by the term princess, his face hardened, I don't want to do this, if you tell me, I won't. Oga scoffed, grabbing Daichi's wrist, preventing him from moving. Oga grabbed Daichi and threw him to the ground. He grinned down at the man beneath him, one hand pinning Daichi, the other in his hair. Princess, playing with the emotions of adults isn't a good idea. Oga observed Daichi. Then, with surprise, he commented, Princess, you have quite unique birthmarks. He noticed two moles close together behind Daichi's ear. Oga continued to pin Daichi. Daichi's arm moved. Then, roughly, he squeezed Oga's genitals before he could react. Oga's face went pale. He let out a loud cry, forcing Oga to release Daichi. He used the opportunity to sit up and kick Oga. Oga stumbled back, hands covering his crotch, his body trembling in pain. Hey, I don't have a fetish for that kind of thing. Daichi still held the knife, his expression menacing. I have no grudge against you, but I've decided to do anything for my revenge. Oga scoffed, a princess raised in a glass cage. I didn't expect such sharp eyes. His face flushed with arousal, his grin widening as he reached out. I like you more and more. Daichi's expression remained unchanged, completely vigilant. Elsewhere, Kamishiro was patiently waiting. The guard beside him, on the other hand, was extremely anxious. It's not over yet. If my superiors find out, I'll be fired. Kamishiro calmly replied to the impatient guard, according to the deal, we still have 5 minutes, don't worry, if you get fired, I'll compensate you fully, just keep watch properly. The guard fell silent, intimidated by his power. Back inside the room, Daichi and Oga remained face to face, neither moving. Daichi continued to persuade him, Oga, I really need the information you have, the drug, Heaven's Ice, it killed my friend. Oga still kept her smile on her lips as she firmly refused, even if she was a princess, I couldn't share this content, what would I gain? Daichi lowered his knife, which made Oga feel confused. Daichi placed a hand on his chest and continued, I must escape this prison at all costs, and if I can avenge those who wronged me, I'll do anything you say. Oga put his hands on his hips and replied, I hear the princess was sentenced to 15 years for murder, looks like the warden successfully seduced her, huh. He extended a hand, a knowing smile on his face, and continued, that's like saying, if I win the lottery, I'll pay off my debts. That's the logic of a loser. Oga spoke as Daichi pressed the knife to his wrist, cutting himself, a deep gash, and declaring, I'm staking my life on this. Wow, I'm completely speechless at Daichi's actions. He observed him with a look of anger behind his eyes. Oga exclaimed, his face reddening with shame. Oga knelt down. Daichi, perplexed, took his hand and said, if you've gone this far. Daichi asked, Oga. Oga kissed his bleeding spot and continued, I also swear that I will live and die for you. Oga licked Daichi's wound, his smile became inhuman as he muttered, I've memorized the princess's taste. Daichi looked at Oga, his face a complex mix of emotions as Oga released him. Oga stood up, turned his back to Daichi, and began, I also have a scar here. He pointed to a large scar on his waist, the case you mentioned is quite complicated. Oga recalls that at the time I was still conducting a secret investigation of the Paradise Club in Roppongi. I was slashed by that merchant. Daichi leaned closer, exclaiming, could it be? Oga confirmed, the Heaven's Ice dealer the princess is looking for. He smiled, that shop probably still operates, you could have an acquaintance investigate. Daichi, overjoyed, grabbed Oga's hand, causing Oga to blush, surprised and speechless. Daichi exclaimed, thank you so much, Oga. Oga was moved to tears, the princess. A guard entered from outside, shouting, interrupting Oga's emotions, what are you doing here? He approached and pushed Daichi down. Other guards rushed in, subduing Oga, others searched the area, how are there still people in the bathroom, who's on duty? Daichi looked at Oga. He smiled, saying, Princess, see you later. The disciplinary cell door slammed shut. Daichi's hands were bound, and he was thrown inside. The guard yelled, you'll stay here for 2 weeks of self-reflection. He dumped the food, rice, soup, and dishes, into a chaotic mess, declaring, here's your meal. Daichi glared at him, the room grew dark as the guard closed the door. Daichi looked at the food on the floor, 2 weeks compared to 15 years was just a blink of an eye. He opened his mouth, looking at it, thinking he had too much to worry about. Daichi ate with determination, he was determined to avenge those who framed him, even if he faced humiliation and the bottom of society, he would survive. 2 weeks later, Daichi was returned to his regular cell. The guard left with some curses. "Don't violate the rules again, understand?" Daichi coldly replied, "I thought I'd be released from solitary earlier." Kamishiro smiled, looking up from his book. "I'm not the king of this prison, you know." He continued, "Getting you a private cell was difficult. Even the warden and over half the guards are inflexible and unbribable." Daichi replied, "I've thought a lot while in solitary, about my case, and about you." Kamishiro looked at him seriously. Daichi continued, "Can you tell me now, what do you know about this case, and how will you get me out of prison?" He bargained, "Otherwise, you won't get any information about Heaven's Ice." Kamishiro chuckled, "You probably already guessed who framed you, right?" Daichi didn't answer. He lowered his head, saying, "I'm not sure, but—" Go Dagura's face. Shiro appeared in his mind. Kamishiro continued, "I'm afraid the people you suspect are indeed your enemies. They're very powerful. Imprisonment alone might not be enough." Daichi listened silently. Kamishiro took off his glasses and continued, "Therefore, I will." He smirked as he declared, "Provide you with the weapons to fight them." Daichi looked at him incredulously. He said, "The weapon you're talking about, is that some kind of encrypted asset?" Kamishiro replied, "First of all." His face turned serious, "I want to hear the details of that night again." Daichi hesitated, looking displeased, but agreed, "All right." He began to recount the events. When he finished, Kamishiro let out a sympathetic sound. "So that's how it was." He recounted, "That day, after your bar shift, you received a text message from the victim, asking you to come to the hotel. Then, your coworker slipped something into your drink, causing you to lose consciousness. Right?" Daichi scratched his ear, "The drugging is just my guess." He remembered the energy drink and Go's words, "Drink this energy drink." "Oh, I wanted half of it, so you drink it here." Daichi furrowed his brows. "Besides that, I don't remember any other clues." Kamishiro spoke again, "Then, you woke up to find the victim dead." The police immediately arrived and surrounded the area. He remarked, "The timing was perfect, wasn't it?" Daichi replied, "I also happen to know Jagasaki, the lawyer who helped me." Shiro's words echoed in his ears. "If you plead guilty, you'll only get probation." Kamishiro continued, "That man manipulated you into pleading guilty, your friend and lawyer Jagasaki. There must be a middleman connecting them. You know who that is, don't you?" Daichi frowned, remembering the director. He thought, that night, Director Dagura introduced me to that lawyer. Director Dagura killed Sayaka. Daichi almost shouted, "He bribed lawyer Jagasaki and Go to frame me. I still don't know all the details." Kamishiro replied, "But the fact that those three framed you is undeniable, because of those three." Daichi's eyes burned with anger. "I had to bear 15 years of imprisonment for something I didn't do." Daichi was furious and enraged. His expression became demonic as he thought, "I can't forgive them." His fingers dug into his flesh, drawing blood. Kamishiro stopped him, "Calm down, you still have hope, revenge is your hope." Daichi looked at Kamishiro's hand holding his. He demanded, "Give me your 500 billion yen now." Daichi's face shone with fury, "I'll show them what it means to live worse than death." Kamishiro sighed, "I told you to calm down." He slowly stood up, "To get you out, we need thorough preparation and the right opportunity, we have to wait." He continued, "It might take a year or two." Kamishiro warned as he left, "And if I give you that much money now, and you don't use it properly, it'll be useless. The key is—" He pointed to his head, "Knowledge." Daichi seemed to awaken, he muttered, "Knowledge." Kamishiro produced a book. "This book has a passage that says." He handed it over. Daichi received it as Kamishiro read, "Wait and hope. While waiting for the right opportunity to take you out, I will teach you all the knowledge I have." Daichi frowned with determination on his face. From that day on, Mr. Kamishiro began holding classes in the closet. They sat opposite each other in the room, various books on the table. Kamishiro began, "First, we'll learn the most fundamental principles of economics." Daichi looked at the pile of books on the table, his face slightly surprised as Kamishiro declared, "I need you to memorize all of this." Mr. Kamishiro had already selected the books I needed to read. He opened one, smiled, and said, "Let me show you how to read." First, you should open the table of contents and skim through it. I don't require you to understand everything immediately, speed is key. I diligently read all those books. It was the day and night, some time later. While doing push-ups, Daichi muttered the contents of the book. 97, Mitsuba Auto has a P-index of 13, 98, the Hakuten market raised capital last quarter, 99. Central Tech's revenue is predicted to be short in the next quarter. Sweat dripped onto the floor. Daichi turned the page. 100, Zion Agent's equity ratio is 32. Daichi collapsed onto the floor, exhausted and panting. Kamishiro asked, "What have you been doing all this time?" Daichi replied, "I'm memorizing the company information you told me to." He wiped his sweat and continued. "There are about 4,000 listed companies. Memorizing all this is enough to consume my entire day, leaving no time for anything else." Kamishiro chuckled, "But whoever reads and does push-ups at the same time." Daichi continued, "I've realized something. When fighting Banba and Oga too." Daichi clenched his fist. "Without strength, you can't fight back." Sweat ran down his body. "Knowledge alone isn't enough." Daichi's eyes sharpened. "To use knowledge, you need strength." Kamishiro replied, "I didn't expect that." He smiled, "You've understood the nature of survival in this world." He stood up, changing the subject. "All right, you've grasped the fundamentals of economics," Daichi asked. "Huh." Kamishiro added, pointing at him, "Next, I'll teach you the art of winning people over." Kamishiro looked at the pile of books. "You've grasped the fundamentals of economics." He sat down opposite Kamishiro. Continuing, Kamishiro smiled, "Next, I'll teach you the art of winning hearts. Listen carefully." The next day, in the prison yard, a figure was shrouded in a blanket. This was Teiko, a seemingly lazy inmate. Daichi approached and said, "Hello." Teiko jumped. He continued, "May I sit next to you?" Teiko flusteredly pulled the bag to cover his face and stammered, "Ah, you are." Daichi sat down next to him, not waiting for a reply. Teiko quickly distanced himself. Daichi smiled, extending a hand. "I'm Inomoto Daichi, your name is Teiko, right?" The other man was flustered. How did you know my name?" Daichi replied, still smiling, "I heard the guard call you that." Teiko stammered, My name, it sounds strange, doesn't it?" He anxiously struggled to speak. I'm often teased about it, and I'm not good at talking." Daichi listened and smiled. "It's not strange at all, I think your name is wonderful." Teiko was surprised by this. Daichi continued, "May I get to know you?" Teiko stammered, I. He pulled his hood down, suddenly emotional. "Me, someone convicted of manipulating the stock market, someone like me, in prison." He continued, I'm very bad at communicating with others, no one ever talks to me." Daichi smiled. The atmosphere he created was strangely comfortable. He said to Teiko, "I think we're not too far apart in age, what do you think about us becoming friends?" They sat together and talked for a long time. Kamishiro watched as Daichi told the story, smiling with satisfaction. It looked like everything went well. Daichi chews and responds, 7 parts listening, 3 parts talking. When communicating, look straight into the other person's eyes, ask questions to start a conversation, then try to compliment them. He smiled. "I did exactly as you taught me, I made friends very quickly." Kamishiro continued, "It's easy to say in theory, but it's not usually that simple. It's because you have a good personality that things went so smoothly." Daichi humbly replied, "Teiko is much better than me." His presentation suggested he had a very deep understanding of stocks. Kamishiro suggested, "Next time you research stocks, maybe you could try inviting him to participate." Daichi wondered, "You know him?" Kamishiro didn't hide it. "Yes, he's quite well known in the industry." He reminded him, "You can't take revenge alone, you absolutely must find teammates to help you." Daichi listened intently as he was taught. Therefore, being attractive to others is very important. Kamishiro continued, "I see that talent in you." Daichi worried, wondering if that was true. He was silent and then wondered, "Why do you treat me so well?" Kamishiro smiled and replied with a question, "What do you think?" He continued, "You need allies to help your escape plan succeed, so you'd approach someone with a similar background to yourself, me, and entice me to cooperate, is that right?" Kamishiro praised him, "Your deduction is quite good." He looked at him as he continued, "I've decided to sell my soul to the devil." Daichi's face darkened. If you also intend to take revenge on someone, I'm willing to help you do anything. Kamishiro glanced at him. He patted him on the shoulder, easing the atmosphere. Let's wait until you graduate from my course, we'll talk then. Daichi remained silent before Kamashiro's attitude. After that, I continued attending Kamashiro's classes in the reading room all day. Kamishiro taught Daichi and Teiko. He pointed to a spot on the newspaper. Then declares this company's stock price looks like it's going to go up, Kamishiro said again. Right now, it's a family company and there's a lot of internal fighting going on. Daichi pointed to another spot and added, what about the competitor company, how are their stocks? Kamishiro laughed, the company you chose is good, they are actively investing in infrastructure. Even at night, Kamishiro lectured him in bed, remember, politicians usually share certain common characteristics. Even during training, he found time to study. Daichi was doing push-ups with Kamishiro sitting on his back, exhausted. He spoke in a broken voice, Do we need to study English? Kamishiro replied concisely, yes, but studying in prison isn't ideal. He dropped a book on the ground and instructed, for now, just memorize the vocabulary first. And I also continue to constantly train my body by breathing. Time passes. Study and practice. Summer. To fall and then winter, some time later. Daichi counted each number 47. He has changed quite a lot. 48. His 49 eyes were still glued to the book page. Daichi braced himself. 50. He dropped himself to the ground and Teiko watched him without taking his eyes off. He spoke. Daichi, you look much more muscular. Daichi smiled, oh really? The boys were jogging in the gym and chatting. While Daichi was resting, he stood in a corner talking to Kamishiro and suddenly panicked because of the topic he mentioned women. He calmly replied, if in your war you have women as allies, you will have a significant advantage, so you need to learn how to treat them accordingly. This reminds Daichi of a memory. The story made him feel shy. In the past, it can be considered that I also had a girlfriend. Kamishiro continued, you're not bad looking, but you're a little too gentle, you should be a bit more assertive. So he put his arm around him and began instructing him on how to be a gentleman. Suppose you're out drinking with someone, just the two of you, after that, you lean in and whisper. Daichi listened attentively. But after finishing the lesson, I didn't think it was very believable, so I asked Kamishiro again, does that really work? He crossed his arms and leaned against the fence. He replied, you can try after reintegrating into society. I think you have the potential to be a woman killer. Because you're very filial to your mother. This made him surprised. What does that have to do with anything? He then gave a rather bizarre example. Let's say you time traveled back in time and had to date your mother when she was young, how would you treat her? Try thinking about it that way, Daichi mumbled, if it were mom. His mind gradually conjured up the image of a woman as gentle as the morning sun. And a heartbreaking moment of hers when she witnessed her son as a villain. They say reporters were covering the story intensely, and the murderer's mother was so shocked by the news of her son's crime that she passed away. Those venomous words caused his eyes to darken. Daichi hung his head, his heart torn apart. Kamishiro, knowing he was thinking of something unpleasant, changed the subject. Your mother must have been a wonderful person, I can tell just by looking at you. Kamishiro explained that a person's character is not only shaped by their innate nature but also by education and their surrounding environment. He remembered his mother's sweet smile and warm embrace when she called his name, Daichi. This memory filled him with mixed emotions of joy and sorrow. He said to himself, and I didn't even realize it. Kamishima looked up at the vast sky where the souls of the departed rested. I've always believed in the existence of the afterlife. He looked at him in astonishment. Kamishima instructed him, after you get out of here, go visit your mother's grave, I'm sure she misses you very much. Daichi's eyes flickered. Tears welled up and fell onto his fingers. Daichi sobbed, choked with emotion, expressing his gratitude, thank you so much. Perhaps his mother in heaven could smile with peace of mind, knowing someone was there to guide and love Daichi in her place. Daichi's life continued peacefully. From dusk to night, and then to another morning, as usual, he was enthusiastically climbing. Kamishiro approached and greeted him, training. Daichi was startled. He quickly climbed down to talk. Kamisama pointed to a person and started gossiping with Daichi, do you see that tall, thin guy? He nodded, yes, what about him? Both their gazes turned toward a young man with black hair and eyes like ruby stones, as Kamishima had described. His name is Haruki, he used to be a host, the old man whispered. Find a suitable time to approach and observe him. He has the potential to become a powerful ally to help you get out of prison. This successfully caught his attention. Still in a daze, a police officer suddenly pointed at him and called out loudly, "Number 1034. Someone's here to visit you." This made him jump and turn around. A visitor. He mumbled, "I wonder who it could be," not noticing Kamashiro's deep gaze. Behind him, along with the prison guard, he walked and walked until they stopped at the dining hall. It was empty. The police officer led him to two people. A plump-looking man introduced himself warmly. "I'm Yamashita, from the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department's 2nd Investigation Team. And this is my subordinate, Suzuki." Daichi politely greeted them. "Yes, sir." He got straight to the point. "I wonder what you want to see me about, sir?" Daichi worriedly asked. "Could it be you want to reinvestigate the case?" Yamashita waved his hand. "I'm sorry, but I'm not here about your case today. It's about something related to Mr. Kamashiro Kosuka." Daichi's eyes widened in surprise. "We're in the middle of a serious conversation," Yamashita said. "Excuse me for a moment, I need to smoke." Daichi replied, "Yes, sir." It seemed that handsome Suzuki's only job was to light the lighter for him, while Yamashita was the one who asked, "Inomoto, you seem close to him, huh?" Daichi watched his hand holding the cigarette and honestly replied, "We shared a cell, so we talked." He continued, "From what I know, he was not only arrested for murder but also involved in a major economic crime and is still facing huge compensation." Suddenly, he narrowed his eyes, his tone changing. However, Daichi focused on the secret of his cellmate. It seemed that he was hiding a huge amount of money somewhere. Coincidentally, Kamishima had once shared with him, "I'm hiding an amount of cryptocurrency equivalent to 500 billion yen somewhere out there." Yamashita revealed his cards. "To put it frankly, I want you to get information about where he hid the money." Daichi understood and asked back, "You want me to be an informant?" Yamashita replied, "Of course, I'm not asking you to help us unconditionally." As he lit his cigarette and puffed, he hinted, "I have a connection working at the Ministry of Justice. If you cooperate, I won't let you suffer any losses." Daichi hesitated. "You mean?" He bluntly revealed the benefit of being released from prison early. "I can help you get that benefit." Daichi was a bit hesitant. He began to wander in thought. More than 10 years left on his sentence, early parole, that was a door, a light leading him to a new life. But what about Mr. Kamashiro? Even now, I still don't fully understand him. Daichi hesitated because of Mr. Kamashiro's kindness. Yamashita gently touched Daichi's shoulder, interrupting his thoughts. "Inomoto, you don't deserve this prison." He wanted to taint Daichi's pure heart. "You should learn to be a little wiser, right?" Under Yamashita's pressure, he asked an out-of-the-blue question, "Officer, do you believe in an afterlife?" Yamashita didn't understand his sensitive heart. He only laughed. "Are you talking about religion?" Daichi indirectly used this story to express his choice. "That person told me that the other world truly exists." He also reminded him, "Your mother must miss you very much, a rational man like him." Saying this, he stood up, angering the superior officer. Then, with kind and sincere eyes, he concluded, "He said those words to comfort me. I will absolutely not betray someone who treats me like that." Yamashita was furious, his face wrinkled like a red-butted monkey. "You'll regret this decision." Daichi remained content and confident, calmly replying to the Tokyo police officer, "I beg your leave." Ignoring Yamashita's angry snorts, he was led away by the prison guard, vowing not to foolishly trust the authorities again. And he resolved never to betray Mr. Kamashiro. Outside prison at night in the bustling city, someone is enjoying premium wine Domaine de la Romaine Conti 1995. That person was Daruga Mitsuru, the company director. He exclaimed when he took a sip of delicious wine, it was truly the pinnacle of wine. His colleague started a conversation, "Dagura, do you remember Inomoto Daichi?" Hearing this, he loudly replied, "How could I forget, that fool made everything go smoothly." The other friend, who is also lawyer Jagasekio, told him the story. "I heard that he was in prison and was hanging out with that guy Kamashiro Kosuka." Dagura was startled. "Kamashiro Kosuka, him?" Shiro suggested to Dagura, "Inomoto Daichi, we should eliminate him." Then he picked up the phone and called Jagasaki, "I have something to ask." In the prison, voices echoed. Haruki said energetically, "You work for the bar at Nishi Azabu." Daichi replied, I did, but I was fired. After listening, Haruki immediately placed both hands firmly on Daichi. Daichi's eyes are full of evil, don't you see that we are very similar? Daichi, a little embarrassed, replied, oh, I guess so. Daichi stood up and left, I'll go then. Haruki was friendly, goodbye, let's chat again next time. How was it, in the vast prison? Daichi went towards Kamishiro. Kamishiro asked, how was it? Daichi answered without much thought, he seems like a good person, but his personality is hard to grasp, he smiles, but his eyes don't show any joy. Kamishiro crossed his arms and replied, don't ignore your intuition, next time, watch your description carefully. Daichi didn't really understand but still agreed yes. Kamishiro continued a little aside, do you still remember the person named Banba? He replied of course. He's been in solitary confinement ever since the fight with you, remember when the police came and opened his cell, number 20, to let him out? He had a terrifying look. But now he has returned to normal activities like us. Banba has a very lovely younger sister. A few years ago she was beaten by a cruel man and was seriously injured. It seems like he's still alive and dying in the hospital. After hearing this, Daichi felt a little sad, so that's why he reacted like that when he heard my story. I remember what you said at that time, looking at the kind of person who dares to kill people like you for personal gain makes me itchy and can't stand it. Kamishiro turns around and leaves, be careful of him. Leaving him alone standing there. In his cell, Banba sat reading a book. At this time, the prison guard also entered to change cells. Banba stood up and left. In the new cell, Kamishiro greeted, welcome. Banba seemed unhappy, it's you, Kamishiro. I still do as I please, Kamishiro replied nonchalantly, it's just a little prison gossip, and even then, it's not entirely as I please. Banba's expression changed, you left me in the central cell, what do you want now? Unlike Banba, Kamishiro calmly replied, I have something to tell you. Kamishiro sat down in front of Banba, there's a guy who recently went to prison. Scene change, Haruki cheerfully chatted with Daichi, I'm about to be temporarily released. Daichi, you still have 10 years left, hang in there, he repeatedly clapped Daichi on the shoulder. Daichi looked at Haruki, thinking, Haruki might be a key to my release, Kamishiro said so, but how can he help? Haruki's words cut through Daichi's thoughts, once I'm out, I can play with girls again. This made Daichi freeze. He asked, what? Haruki grinned, I drug them, do whatever I want, it's amazing, then I dump them at a brothel, extra cash, it's a win-win. The more Haruki spoke, the more numb Daichi became, what the hell are you talking about? Haruki's eyes turned sinister. I know everything, Daichi, you raped and killed a girl, didn't you? Haruki let out an evil laugh, pointing at Daichi, aren't we the same kind of person? Leaving evidence is a mistake, I'm smarter than that. He was so engrossed in talking he didn't notice a large figure behind him. Daichi saw and his face changed. Haruki's neck was quickly gripped by that large arm. Banba said coldly, does it hurt? Compared to what your victim suffered, it's nothing. Daichi frantically tried to stop him. Haruki's eyes bulged, bloodshot, he screamed. Night fell. The doctor came out, sighing. Kamishiro, arms crossed, asked, how is he, doctor? The doctor looked back at the room, Takahashi Haruki is the most seriously injured, his vital signs are dropping, his condition is critical. Kamishiro bowed his head, Banba had beaten that sex worker. Inomoto tried to intervene but ended up involved. The doctor removed his mask, due to a lack of equipment, the surgery was difficult. But thankfully, the surgery was successful. Kamishiro happily put his arm around the doctor, that's great. This is my first time encountering this situation, Kamishiro said, Doctor, you're a miracle worker. Their conversation was overheard. Taking advantage of the emptiness, someone entered Haruki and Daichi's room. He looked at Haruki. Then he looked at the nameplate. He then took a syringe and stabbed it into the 4 bag. Then he let out a sinister smile.